All right, shalom, shalom, shalom. All praises to the Most High, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, which is to say in the Paleo Hebrew, Yahweh, which is the name of our Heavenly Father, meaning He is, and that is who the world ignorantly calls God, by the way. Bahashem, which means in the name, Yahweh Shai, which means He is our salvation. And that is who the world also ignorantly calls Jesus, who, by the way, is a so-called black man who only came for the Israelites. All right. Now, I came across this article the other day, and it caught my eye because of the headline, which reads, U.S. Treasury weighs digital ID verification and DeFi to tackle illicit finance, okay? And this is going to be one of the greater selling points of this beast system is that what? We're going to use this new technology, this upgrade, this digital currency to what? Stop money laundering, stop, you name it, all type of illicit activities, okay? And they're going to use it by the way of what? This beast system, this RFID microchip, all right? Is going to be able to verify who you are before you even make a transaction. Because why? The chip will already be underneath your skin, and it's going to be assigned to a specific individual, all right? Each person will have their own unique microchip, all connected globally, albeit it will be your own unique microchip, all right? And it's going to know who you are, all right? As we're going to read, all right? Now, they're posing it as a comment, saying we're going to let the comments meaning people's opinion, be open until October the 17th on how we can make this a better, a better bill, a better act, because the bill is already passed, okay? The Genius Act. The Genius Act is what it is, all right? It's a bill or act to legalize cryptocurrency in the form of a stablecoin, okay? Sort of like Bitcoin, but for the government, stablecoin, all right? It's going to more than likely have the blockchain technology, all right? Because this is how they're going to be able to execute this, all right? Now I'm going to use this play button, and I'm going to let this AI computer read it into the point where it caught my attention. So let's check it out.
U.S. Treasury weighs digital ID verification in DeFi to tackle illicit finance. The U.S. Department of the Treasury is seeking public feedback on how digital identity tools and other emerging technologies could be used to fight illicit finance in crypto markets, with one option being embedding identity checks into decentralized finance, DeFi, smart contracts.
Well, hold up now. See, let's read what she didn't read, okay? It says the Treasury is considering embedding digital identity checks, okay? Meaning what? They're going to identify who you are, all right? They're going to have measures put into place to check to see who you are before the transactions are actually completed, all right? How are they going to do this? By the way of the RFID microchip. It says the Treasury is considering. Ain't no considering. This is just giving you, the consumer, the idea that you still somehow hold an opinion or value in this matter. But little do you know, you don't, okay? Because they're going to move along with it even if you don't agree. So it says the Treasury is considering embedding digital identity checks into DeFi smart contracts as part of its Genius Act, all right? And I advise you to look at the Genius Act. I did a video on it a month or two ago showing you that, hey, by the beginning of next year, we could have stable coins in these banks, okay? these major banks. Let me say that. It says consultation on crypto compliance tools. The U.S. Department of Treasury is seeking public feedback. I mean, you can believe that as much as you want to, man. Look, if you disagree, they ain't going to stop the ship just because you don't want to get on board. They're going to keep moving with it, okay? Whether you agree or not, man. All right? It says the U.S. Department of Treasury is seeking public feedback on how digital identity tools and other emerging technologies could be used to fight illicit finance in crypto markets. See, this has been a cause of concern for many people that don't want to move away from physical, hard, cold cash. All right. Well, now, quote unquote, the U.S. Treasury is coming up with ways to fight illicit, what does it say? Finance in crypto markets. Man, they're getting ready to crash this Bitcoin to bring in this more stable coin. All right. And they're going to give you, the consumer, who may have had trepidations on whether or not this is a good way to move forward, a better, reassurance. Because now, before your transaction is completed, they're going to have what? Measuring tools, digital identity checks. Okay, let's check and see. This goes, okay, that person's clear. It's going to be instantaneously. It ain't going to stop the check. No, because once you have this chip embedded underneath your skin within you, things are going to move exponentially. Salakia, excuse me. All right. It's just getting you, the consumer, more familiar with it. Okay. They're getting you gradually integrated into receiving this. Okay. Now, whether you receive it or not, that's besides the point, okay? They gonna move with the agenda, all right? Make no mistake about it, all right? That stable coin is a form of, whether you want to say cryptocurrency or a CBDC, a central bank digital currency, or whatever you want to label it, okay? It's digital, all right? And it will track you, And that's something that they're not going to be able to, for the most part, reassure to the public that we ain't gonna track you, because why? We're going to be using these identity tools or checks to make sure you are who you are, and we're going to have to track you. All right, to what? See your spending habits, to see if we see anything abnormal out of the blue that we can flag that say this isn't a normal spending habit. So whether you on board with this or whether you're not, they're just giving you some type of what you would believe is feedback or say so in the matter, okay? But little do you know, it doesn't matter what you say or what you comment, all right? Because they're moving on with this agenda, whether you like it or not, pursuant to biblical prophecy, Revelation 13 and 16. He causes. When you go into that word causes, one of the meanings is constitute. So he, Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, this system, backed by the elite bankers, the wicked elite bankers, the international bankers, are going to make it mandatory that what? For you to use the grid, the system, you're going to have to take this microchip, this RFID, radio frequency identification microchip, about the size of a grain of rice, embedded, there's that word, embedded, underneath your skin, okay? Or in your forehead. So it says, could be used to fight illicit finance in crypto markets, with one option being embedding identity checks into decentralized finance, DeFi, smart contracts, right? Because these banks, these sovereign banks, if you want to call them, are mostly decentralized, okay? Now they're going to put checks and balances into them to make sure that they're stable and that they can, have some type of way of reassuring you, the customer, because right now they have what they call, a bank bailout, where if you have a certain amount of money in the bank and that bank has to, for some reason, take a loss, your money is back up to a certain amount. Then after that certain amount, it's a loss, okay? See, but with this, they want to make sure that everyone will have an opportunity to secure their assets, albeit digital, okay? Because physical cash ain't going to be relevant anymore. It says checks into decentralized finance, DeFi smart contracts. The cancellation published this week. Stems from the newly enacted Guiding and Establishing National Innovation for U.S. Stablecoins Act, the Genius Act, right? And they signed it into law in July. All right, that was last month. Like I said, I did a video on it, okay? Because this is the direction they're heading into. Digital currency. Why? Because they're going to be able to put it on a device the size of a grain of rice and an RFID microchip. Going to have your currency on it. Going to have your passport, your social security, your birth certificate. It's going to have everything on it. And if you don't have that microchip, you're going to be looked at as an undocumented immigrant, okay? Prone or fined to what? Deportation or being locked up, put into one of these detention centers, FEMA camps, however you want to label it. All right? Because why? You don't have the proper identity to be out in the quote unquote free world, moving about as if one that does have the microchip, the mark of the beast. Okay? It says the act sets out a regulatory framework for payment stablecoin issuers, right? Which is more than likely going to be these banks, all right? These JP Morgans, these Wells Fargos, all right? These banks that have the cachet, okay, to what? Do something like a stable coin, all right? That can pass the requirements and the regulations, okay, to prove their worthiness, all right? It says, the act, which sets out a regulatory framework for payment stablecoin issuers, directs the Treasury to explore new compliance technologies, including application programming interfaces, APIs, artificial intelligence. You see the uptake of artificial intelligence? It's because it's going to be used in part, or should I say, in junction with the B system. Digital identity. All of this is going to be used in junction with the B system. It says digital identity verification and blockchain monitoring. You have to know about blockchain, all right? It can always with blockchain technology, it can always trace back, because why? The initial chain, the block, can be traced through every digital transaction. All right? And it's yet to be proven unstoppable. Okay? Yet there's not a hacker that has been able to hack into the blockchain. All right? Which showed you this thing is set up from the beginning, man. Okay? This whole Bitcoin cryptocurrency, it was set up from the beginning to introduce this technology, this blockchain technology, all right? As what? Impenetrable, okay? And they're going to sell this as what? Being a key factor in what? This digital identity check for what? This stable coin that they're getting ready to introduce via by the way of these banks. All right. And then the customers that bank with them. And then initially it's just going to be, hey, we're not accepting any more cash, no more checks from your jobs. Everything is going digital. All right. And this is where we at with it. Either you accept it or not. If you don't, okay, you're no longer banking with us. Good luck trying to find someone that's going to honor or accept that check. Because your job, guess what? They're going to switch over to the digital currency. You think you're going to do some odd jobs around the neighborhood, cut yards, and people going to give you cash and then what are you going to do with it? Wipe your ass? Because it ain't going to be worth anything. All right? You're going to be cutting yards for a can of macaroni and cheese, or for a sandwich, basically. That's what it's gonna come down to, man. I cut your yard because right now, hey, it's a stigma on the crackheads that they cut the yards for damn near nothing. But guess what? In those days, you're gonna be in that same boat as a crackhead, cutting a goddamn whole yard, front, back, edge, weeded, and everything, just for what? A can of ravioli? See, that's why we trusted in the Lord, man, so that we will be taken care of in this time. All right? And we ain't going to have to compromise and take a microchip. All right? It goes on to read, the act which set out a regulatory framework for payment stablecoin issuers, which is going to be the banks, directs the Treasury to explore new compliance technologies, including application programming interfaces, APIs, artificial intelligence, digital identity verification, and blockchain monitoring. One of the ideas in the request for comment is the potential for DeFi, protocols to integrate digital identity credentials directly into their code. So look at that. The stable coins will already have a code where, and we know the code, man. I don't know why they playing us like, well, to the mass, it is something fairly new, and most of them don't even know what stable coins are and what they're leading towards. All right, but for those of us that's in the truth and that's keeping up and know what the mark of the beast is, we see how this is all but furthering the whole digital ID, okay? The whole tracking, okay? Because now, guess what? Your illicit finances through crypto, your money laundering, your so on and so forth, ain't gonna be and that was one of the things I wrote down on some of the benefits of what a digital or RFID microchip could pose to the, to the people as a selling point. This was one of them. And then one of the cons that I said was that, well, because they're going to use this technology, those that be panhandling and those that be selling things on the corners and on the streets, they're not going to be able to do that no more. Okay, because why? People ain't going to be able to give them cash. All right. We're seeing the last days of this pay to pay, where you can Zelle app somebody or Cash App somebody, because even all that's going to be gone. All right. It's either you're going to have the mark of the beast or you aren't. And if you don't have the RFID microchip, good luck. Okay. For trying to stay on this man's system. You're not going to be able to outsmart this man. All right. He was given this particular task from the Lord, man. You trying to outdo him is like you trying to outdo what the Lord says for him to do. Be the wicked. So it says one of the ideas in the request for comment is the potential for DeFi protocols to integrate digital identity credentials directly into their code, right? Get that chip up underneath your skin, man. It says under this model, a smart contract could automatically, simultaneously, right there on the spot, verify a user's credentials before. This is the key selling point. You don't have to worry about losing anything or someone stealing your identity or someone stealing your money or whatever, because before the transaction is completed, we're going to know who you're sending that to and who's receiving it, whether you got scammers on the other side trying to get your money, because we already know they can just use that alone and get the elderly. Because why? The elderly is the most vulnerable people in the group that get scammed. Okay. Well, guess what? Under this new protocol and under this RFID microchip, now those that are scamming the elderly, posing as, either loved ones that need money in harsh times or bill collecting agencies, guess what? They're going to be all wiped out because why? Before that transaction is completed, it's going to automatically know who it's going to. All right. And you think the bank is just going to give over money willingly to someone in India, someone in Africa, someone elsewhere here in the United States of America that's looking to scam on people, particularly those that don't know no better, like the elderly? No, they're going to have digital protocols integrated into this stablecoin, which is going to be into the RFID microchip, man. It says, could automatically verify a user's credentials before executing a transaction. This is why your Cash America Pun stores more than likely ain't going to have this technology, man. Okay? This is going to be something handed to the banks, all right? No mom and pops, 53rd Bank. Now it's going to be the big dogs, man. All right? It's going to be the big dogs. Now, if the mom and pop 53rd banks want to integrate over into the big dogs, then they may have a place for them. But for the most part, hey, it's a big dog party only, man. All right? It says a smart contract could automatically verify a user's credentials before executing a transaction. That's what's going to be the selling point, a peace of mind. All right? Effectively building know your customer. See? They even got an acronym, KYC, know your customer. And anti-money laundering, AML. Safeguards into blockchain infrastructure. So basically this technology is going to be impenetrable. All right? No more losing your money, man, to scammers. No more people trying to use side businesses and trying to, launder money through other, funnels of revenue. Hey, this is it, man. Because why? The dollar has ran its course, man. All right? The dollar has ran its course. Now it's time to move on to the stable coin, the new dollar. All right? Backed by what? This blockchain technology. All right? Which is going to be proven to be impenetrable. Okay? Because of these credentials and measures and tools that they're using to check automatically before the transaction is even completed. Okay? So let's hear a little bit more about this computer and hear how she reads.
The consultation, published this week, stems from the newly enacted Guiding and Establishing National Innovation for U.S. Stablecoins Act, Genius Act, signed into law in July. The Act, which sets out a regulatory framework for payment stablecoin issuers, directs the Treasury to explore new compliance technologies, including application programming interfaces, APIs, artificial intelligence, digital identity verification, and blockchain monitoring. One of the ideas in the request for comment is the potential for DeFi protocols to integrate digital identity credentials directly into their code. Under this model, a smart contract could automatically verify a user's credential before executing a transaction, effectively building Know Your Customer, KYC, and anti-money laundering, AML, safeguards into blockchain infrastructure. Treasury considers digital ID verification in DeFi. Source: LAS. Related, Genius Act to spark wave of killer apps and new payment services, Signum. Treasury. Digital IDs could cut compliance costs. According to Treasury, digital identity solutions, which may include government IDs, biometrics, or portable credentials, could reduce compliance costs while strengthening privacy protections.
What? Did she say biometrics? Keep playing around if you want to. All right? Keep playing like you don't know what the mark of the beast is, man, in this system. All right? You're going to get caught off guard, man. Hey, did she say biometrics? According to the Treasury, digital identity solutions, which may include government IDs, biometrics, or portable credentials, the RFID microchip, could reduce compliance costs while strengthening privacy protections. See, it's evident or apparent to those of us that have eyes to see and ears to hear, man, what the mark of the beast is. They could also make it easier for financial institutions and DeFi services to detect money laundering, terrorist financing, or sanctions evasions before transactions occur. This is a game changer, okay? They're going to do away with terrorism. They're going to do away with money laundering. You got to imagine the crime is going to skyrocket, man. Now you can't fund the cartel. You can't fund terrorists. You can't fund money laundering. So people just go, hey, Jacob's trouble, man. It's right around the corner, man. People are going to be breaking into people's houses because now they can't extort them for money anymore because they're going to be traced. It's like having a tracking system on you. All right? But what's not going to be traceable or trackable? Goods. You know, if you want to break into somebody. But guess what? Even if you break into somebody's house and steal something out of their house and want to get the money for it and take it to a pawn place, guess what? Not going to work. Man, this system is pretty much impregnable. You take that same device or whatever it is you took out of that house to try to get money for it, where are you going to take it? How are you going to get money? It's going to come down to whether or not you want this system. If you want this system, take the chip. It's just that simple. Ain't no getting around it, man. You want to pawn that? Guess what? We can't do it. We can't give you cash. All we got is the mark of the beast. We can put credits onto your chip if you want. But even that's going to be traceable. Okay? So now you take that PS5 into a pawn shop and the pawn person gives you the credits onto your system and that pawn and that PS5 is reported stolen. Guess what? They're going to know who have it. Police are going to show up at your door. We seen you pawn this. Where is it at? Oh, I don't have it. Well, we're going to have you carted off into the detention center, this FEMA camp, okay? Or we can give you an instantaneously cognified prison sentence right here on the spot, okay? Bam. They done did something to your chip, turned it up. Now you in prison in your head for however long, you know, that the sentence entails for theft, all right? Because, hey, with that cognified, they can vastly reduce your prison time with the mark of the beast, okay? So they just may have you sit on the couch for 30 minutes, and in your mind, although it's 30 minutes in real time, in your mind, with that mark, it's going to feel like 2 or 3 years, man. Or you can go down there and take the real 2 or 3 years. Either or. See? So shit's going to be real out here in the battlefield. Excuse the language, man. It says, according to the Treasury, the digital identity solutions, which may include government IDs, biometrics, or portable credentials, could reduce compliance costs while strengthening privacy protections. They could also make it easier for financial institutions and DeFi services to detect money laundering, terrorist finances, or sanctions evasions before transactions occur. Treasury also acknowledged potential challenges, including data privacy concerns and the need to balance innovation with regulatory oversight. Treasury welcomes input on any matter that commenters believe is relevant to Treasury's effort. The agency wrote, public comments are open until October the 17th, 2025. So a little bit over or right around 2 months from now. Following the consultation, Treasury will support a report to Congress and may issue guidance or propose new rules based on the findings. Guess what? These rules are already implemented into the Genius Act, okay? They showing you what's already in the Genius Act, but they don't want to what's the word? Upset you or frighten you. So they letting you believe that your comments is going to make a profound impact on last minute changes of this Genius Act. It's BS, man.
They could also make it easier for financial institutions and DeFi services to detect money laundering, terrorist financing, or sanctions evasion before transactions occur. Treasury also acknowledged potential challenges, including data privacy concerns and the need to balance innovation with regulatory oversight. Treasury welcomes input on any matter that commenters believe is relevant to Treasury's efforts, the agency wrote. Public comments are open until October 17, 2025. Following the consultation, Treasury will submit a report to Congress and may issue guidance or propose new rules based on the findings. Related, Genius Act yield ban may push trillions into tokenized assets, ex-bank exec. U.S. banks warn against stablecoin yield loophole. Last week, several major U.S. banking groups led by the Bank Policy Institute, BPI, urged Congress to tighten rules under the Genius Act, warning that a loophole could let stablecoin issuers bypass restrictions on paying interest. In a letter sent Tuesday, BPI said the gap could allow issuers to partner with exchanges or affiliates to offer yields, undermining the intent of the law. The group cautioned that unchecked growth of yield-bearing stablecoins could trigger up to $6.6 trillion in deposit outflows from traditional banks, threatening credit access for businesses. Magazine. Bitcoin versus stablecoins showdown looms as Genius Act nears.
So there you have it. All right. This Bitcoin could be on its last leg. All right. This stablecoin is potentially the quote unquote cryptocurrency. All right. Because why? It's going to be pretty much traceable across all boards, across every aspect of digital financing. This stablecoin is going to have everything covered, man. Bitcoin was the introduction. Stablecoin is the here I am. Here I go. Okay? So let's get a few precepts. Know this was kind of long-winded. Excuse the talking, but sometimes you get overly excited when you see these things and how close they are to prophesying, to prophecies coming to pass, man. All right? Because we see the odds and ends of this infrastructure being put into place, all right before they get ready to introduce this into the world via by the way of stable coins. All right, so it gets you excited. Okay, so let's go get a couple of precepts. This is the book of 2 Corinthians chapter 2 and verse 11. It reads, lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. See, we understand stablecoin, all right? We understand the implications of this quote-unquote digital identity check, the measures that they're going to have to take, how they're going to check your identity automatically before your transaction is completed, okay? How are they going to be able to do that unless they already have something inside of you, monitoring to you, checking you, tracking you, all right, to see who you are before the transaction has been completed, because you're going to leave a digital footprint behind and after that transaction. Okay, it's a beautiful thing, man. All right, because this is what this devil has wanted for the longest, and this truth has forced his hand. Now there's no turning back. Okay, so it says, lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. Right? We know the gig. All right, they trying to use the comments. You put your comments in before October 17th so we can send it to Congress and see if they can make the last, final touches before we introduce this into the world or here in America next year, because it's coming next year. 2026 stablecoin. All right. that's the government or the U.S. Treasury, pretty much digital currency, whether you want to call it a CBDC or not, man. All right, that's pretty much the government or the U.S. Treasury central bank digital currency. It's going to be what? Digital. So we know where that's leading to, okay? The mark of the beast, all right? Because your phones ain't going to get it done, man, all right? You can easily ditch your phone, but see, you can't ditch that chip, all right? It's going to require what? An integration or integrate between you and it, okay? That's the catch. They ain't telling you, all right? Your phone, you can toss that. You can get you a new phone. But see, this microchip is going to be part of you now. It's called transhumanism, when you merge man with machine, all right? And they've been prepping you by what? Allowing you to use AI. We heard it and we read it. AI. It's going to be part of the digital identification check, all right? Along with other measures and tools, okay? Biometrics, all right? So the prep has been for the longest. They getting ready to say, hey, let's just do it, all right? Martial law, Jacob's trouble, famine of the word, mark of the beast, World War III, Yahweh Shai, okay? We looking for these things, all right? Revelation 13 and 16. It reads, and he causes all. Who is the he? Esau, Edom, the so-called self-proclaimed white man. Causes are mandatory or constitute. Let's go into that word causes in the Greek.
Strong's G 4160. Poieo. Poieo.
It says to make, with the names of things made, to produce, construct, form, fashion, etc. To be the authors of. These elites, Edomites, are going to be the authors, or those that come out or make and introduce this technology. They're going to be the authors of it. These are the ones that the Lord has chosen to bring forth this microchip, all right? And to introduce it as what? Law, okay? We're seeing the law being put into place right now, Genius Act. It says, the cause to make ready, to prepare, to produce, bear, shoot forth, to acquire, to provide a thing for oneself, to make a thing out of something. Give me a second, we getting there. G, to make, i.e., render one anything. Here it is, I, or should I say one, to make, i.e., constitute. That's it, they're going to constitute or appoint one anything, to appoint or ordain one that. They're going to ordain this law that in order for you to buy and sell, you have to have this, okay? This is going into law. This is the difference between you just getting a microchip just to be rebellious now, and then you having to have a microchip to get food, to buy, to have anything. You see? It's not law as of yet, but it's being put into law right now. This stablecoin Genius Act, all right? They're putting it into place right now. Constitute.
Constitute.
It says, be a part of a whole. No, two, give legal or constitutional form to an institution established by law. This will be the law, okay? Point blank, period. You will have to have this device in order to buy and sell. It will be a law punishable by jail time or even death. You will be beheaded, man. It's just that simple. This is law. They're putting it into law right now. Okay? All they're going to need is a good crisis to bring it forth into the public. But the law is already put on the books, all right? The Genius Act. So let's work our way back. It says, and he causes all. Who is the he? The Arthur, the Edomite, the elites of the society, these international bankers. And he causes, constitute, makes it law. All, both small and great, rich and poor. It ain't going to be no middle classes. That's why I didn't say middle or in between. It's either you going to have it or you ain't. To receive a mark, that's that charagma, that's that RFID microchip, okay, in their right hand or in their foreheads, right? Because what if you don't have any hands? What if you don't have any limbs? You got a head, though. See? They can put it in your head, all right? Matter of fact, they may give you the option, hey, you want this chip in your head to serve out your prison time? You can get it over with in an hour. But that hour is going to feel like 5 years to you, okay? See? So guess what? It's here, man. Neuralink, Genius Act, just to name a few, you know, because there's a lot. Synchron, there's a lot of companies, or should I say corporations, that's putting their bid in for that mark in your forehead, okay? But see, that one that's going in your hand, that's going to more than likely be where you get your government aid, assistance, and things of that magnitude, all right? It says, and that no man or woman or child or infant might buy or sell save he, that's that one that is being constituted, save he, meaning you got to have it. It's constituted because he above in 16, the elites of the society has made it what? Law. So in order for you to buy or sell, you have to have that mark. It says, in that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark, meaning you got to have this device, okay? Or the name of the beast, it's going to be on the mark, or the number of his name, which is also going to be on the mark, okay? Here is wisdom. Let him that have understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 600, 66, chi psi stigma, okay? Going to that word stigma, it means to prick. They're going to prick or pierce your flesh and embed this device underneath your skin, all right? And then, and only then, will you be able to buy and sell and receive whatever type of government assistance and aid that they're going to render unto you. Whether it's the UBI, Universal Basic Income, whether it's whatever, okay? Then will you be able to receive it? Because why? You've taken the mark, all right? And then along taking that mark, you're going to receive something from Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, spoken of in Revelation 14, 9 and 10, that cup of indignation, all right? So that's why we are putting all our chips on the table and pushing it towards this truth, man. Because Isaiah 65 and 13 says, my servant shall eat, but you shall be hungry. So even with that chip, you still going to be hungry. My servant shall drink, but ye shall be thirsty. So even taking that chip, you still going to be thirsty. My servant shall have glory, but you shall be shamed. And when you take that chip, you're going to know what shame feel like. Okay? Let's get that and then we close out. Isaiah 65 and 13. It says, therefore, thus saith the Lord power, behold, my servant shall eat. See, we ain't going to have to take that chip and we still going to eat. But ye shall be hungry. You going to take that chip and you still going to be hungry. That's the messed up thing. Well, it ain't messed up. It's what you deserve. All right? It says, behold, my servant shall drink. We going to drink without being compromised and having to take that chip. But ye shall be thirsty. Even when you take that chip, you still going to be thirsty. All right? They're going to keep you in that perpetual state of depending on them. So guess what? They can trot and step all over you. It says, Behold, my servant shall rejoice. Yes, we didn't have to take this chip, and the Lord is providing for us. But ye shall be ashamed. You're going to be ashamed when that chip come and you take it because you got no other option. All right? It says, behold, my servant shall sing for joy of heart, but ye shall cry for sorrow of heart, and ye shall howl for vexation of spirit. You're going to catch hell when you take that chip, man. That's your ass. All right? And we warning you. We doing these videos and telling you it's coming. Get your mind right. You know? Seek Yahweh. All right? Don't wait till things get out of control and it's too late. So you've been warned. All right? Take heed. Or don't. It ain't going to make us no difference. We warned you. That's all we had to do. All right? Let's go to 1 Peter 5 and 8 and we finish up. This is 1 Peter chapter 5 and verse 8. It reads, be sober. We warning you. So you won't have no excuse, no cloak for your sins. When you take it, that's on you. Whoever you believe, if who you following, don't tell you that that's what the mark of the beast is, and they go ahead and give you the green light to take it, they don't reprimand you from taking it, that's on you. It says, be vigilant. We've been watching. We just brought out an article, all right, showing you. It's here. The law, the constitute, they putting into place. October 17th is the last day they giving you, the people, the commenters, to what? Voice your opinion. But it's already been put into place what's going to be on this law, this act. All right? Why? Because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about seeking whom he may devour. He doesn't want you to know it's here until it's here. By that time, it's too late, man. What you gonna do? You ain't been building up your spirit. You haven't been building up your faith. You haven't been building up your walk in this truth. You think you just gonna come into this Jacob's trouble and all of a sudden you gonna get it? Not a chance, all right? Unless you are the elect, man. Unless the Lord shows mercy and he sends a man of the Lord towards you or to you to break it down for you before you compromise or be compromised and take the mark of the beast, all right? So you've been warned. Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about seeking whom he may devour, all right? So with that being said, pray someone was edified through this lesson. And until the next time, if it be the Lord's will, stay strong, stay in the faith. We're almost home. Shalom. Peace.